Welcome to the eCommerce Badassery podcast, the place for scrappy entrepreneurs who want to learn actionable steps and strategies to grow the traffic, sales, and profit in your e-commerce business. I'm your host, Jessica Totillo-Coster, a 20-year retail veteran and former brick-and-mortar boutique owner who spent 3 years as the only employee of a 7-figure online store. That shit was crazy. I know exactly how it feels to do all the things, and I'm sharing everything I learned the hard way so you don't have to. I may have started this business by accident, but supporting badass bosses like you lights me the fuck up, and I am so stoked to see you grow. Are you ready, babe? Let's roll. Welcome back to the eCommerce Badassery podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Totillo-Coster. Let's talk about debt. Before we get started, though, let me just put a little disclaimer that I am not a financial professional, and this is not financial advice. I'm just sharing what I've learned, experienced, and seen. You should always talk to your accountant or financial advisor. Now, I know debt is not the sexiest topic, but it might be one of the most important conversations we can have as business owners, because the truth is, debt can be both a tool and a trap. And if you've ever found yourself stuck in the cycle of high-interest credit cards or floating cash flow with short-term loans, you know exactly what I mean. Today, we're diving into the real cost of carrying debt in your business, how to get out of it without losing your mind, and how to use it strategically when it actually makes sense. No shame, no fluff, just honest talk about money and smart decision making. So let's start off with being in debt. Debt is not always a bad thing. Lots of people and businesses leverage debt to grow or buy things. But high interest debt, like credit card debt, is often a never-ending cycle that will sabotage your business growth. Like I said, if you're in debt, no shame. In my early 20s, my personal debt was so bad they actually froze my bank account and I couldn't access my paycheck because it was direct deposit. I've had my car towed for unpaid parking tickets. I had to go on high-risk car insurance that was 2x the regular rate because I couldn't pay on time. Being poor is expensive. I have been in debt and I get it. I will say, since I had that experience of having my bank account frozen, I've never not paid my credit card in full again, and I am embarrassed at how much interest I likely paid on a Taco Bell meal. Being in debt doesn't make you a bad business owner, but if you don't make that debt a priority and you continue to kick that can down the road, you're only going to create more problems in the future. And having debt cripples your ability to create and grow the business you want. It eats into your profit month after month, it adds stress to your decision making, and it limits your ability to invest in growth opportunities. So if you've been putting off that debt, let this be your sign that you can't do that anymore. And know that you are not alone. I recently caught up with a lounge member who is finally in the process of paying down her debt. I first talked with her, I think it was the end of 2024. She had booked a velvet rope call to strategize the year ahead, and one of the things we talked about was her debt. She'd been carrying credit card debt for a long time, had taken on Shopify loans, all to keep her business afloat and keep growing. It has been weighing on her, but it became this background noise. Yeah, she was paying it, but it had just become this normal thing in her business. I told her that day it has to be the number one thing she focuses on in 2025 because she is wasting so much money on that high interest rate. Fast forward to now, she's paid off her Shopify loans and consolidated her debt so that every dollar she puts towards it is going to the principal instead of making the credit card company richer. She still has a way to go, but she's got a plan and is making real progress on paying down her balance because she's doing it mostly interest-free. And that's what I want for you too. So what can you do? How exactly you handle the debt will depend a bit on your situation, but let's talk through a few different options. If you're just talking general debt like loans and you have multiple of them, there are 2 ways you can tackle this. The avalanche method, where you pay the highest interest debt first, or the snowball method, where you pay the smallest debt first to create momentum. Honestly, one is not necessarily better than the other. It just depends on what works for you. While the theory of paying the highest interest rate sounds better because it will typically save you money over the long term, If it's demoralizing to try and get aggressive paying it off, but it's so big you don't feel like you're making a dent and it makes you want to quit, then the snowball method is the better option, even if it costs you a bit more in the long run. If we're talking about credit card debt, that's where you need to figure out how to consolidate that so you can get a lower interest rate. Credit card interest rates are ridiculous. Honestly, even 1 to 2 points on a loan can be the difference of affording or not affording something. Granted, this is a very big purchase, but Mike and I bought our home right before interest rates spiked. If we were trying to buy our home today, just a 3% increase in our interest rate would be almost $1,000 more a month. So every percentage point matters. If you have credit card debt, the first thing you want to look into is getting another credit card. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but many banks will offer balance transfers with 0% interest for a set period of time, say a year, sometimes for free or with a small one-time charge. I promise this one-time charge will still save you tons of money on interest. And even if you can't transfer the entire thing right away, because maybe you get a small available credit, every little bit helps. Once you pay that down a bit, now your utilization goes down, raising your credit score. And if you need to, you can either get a balance increase on your existing card and transfer more money, or, yep, you guessed it, get another credit card that has a 0 interest balance transfer option. You'll also want to be smart about the cards you do have and how you're utilizing them. For example, that lounge student I mentioned, she has the Chase Inc. business credit card. Now, depending upon which version you have, one of them gives double points on shipping and paid social ads. That was maxed out in her case, so she couldn't earn double points on these things she was already spending money on. She was just paying out of her business checking account with cash. In that case, I recommended she pay down that card first so she could start earning double points on those business expenses and earn some free money. You can also look at Shopify's credit card. They give, I think it might be double or triple the points on whatever your highest spending category is. So that's pretty cool. Once you've got the interest thing handled the best you can, then it's time to find more money to put toward that debt. That could be taking less money out of the business for a short period of time. It could be treating a specific sales channel as bonus money and just putting all of that towards the debt. It could be optimizing your business to increase your revenue so you have more money to put toward the debt, or all of the above. For example, that lounge member had put her bestsellers on Etsy. She wasn't doing much with it, but it was generating a few sales here or there organically without much effort. In that case, I told her if she could, right, we don't want to be homeless or starving, but if she could, take all the money that was earned through Etsy and just put it toward the debt. For you, it might look like your Amazon sales, or maybe you're primarily a marketplace or in-person business, and so it's whatever bonus sales you get on your website. If you can manage to not take any more money than you truly need to live on for a little while and just focus on paying down the debt, it will make a huge difference in your profitability moving forward. When I first went full-time in e-commerce badassery, I didn't take any money out of the business right away. My goal was to invest back into the business as much as possible. I had built up a cushion in the business and our personal finances, and we were able to essentially just live off of Mike's income during those first few months. Point is, do whatever you possibly can, because if you are paying high interest on money you borrowed, that is literally money that is going into the pockets of the credit card company, the bank that issued it, and it's just like you flushing it down the toilet. Interest is ugh. But again, as I mentioned earlier, not all debt is bad, but you need to be really intentional with that debt. Is that debt going towards something that will directly increase your capacity to make money? For example, purchasing equipment or buying more inventory at a lower per item rate for a proven seller. I think it was Vanessa of TaylorMade who mentioned on the podcast way back when that she invested in a specialized printer to create her labels in-house instead of buying them from a supplier. She originally hesitated because she wasn't sure they would be able to do it using the software, etc. But in the end, it added a lot of flexibility to her business and saved them money in the long run. What you don't want to do is use debt to patch cash flow gaps over and over without fixing the underlying issue, like I did for my Taco Bell tacos. Now, before you do take on any kind of debt, whether it's a credit card, a loan, a buy now, pay later option, you've got to understand exactly what you're signing up for. How much is it really going to cost you? Can you afford the repayments based on your current cash flow? What's your average order value, profit margin? What does it cost you to get a customer? Because if you're borrowing money to fuel growth, you want to make damn sure that growth will actually pay off. And I know math isn't everyone's favorite part of business, but this is the stuff that can make or break your profitability. A loan that seems manageable on paper can actually eat up your cash if you are not careful. So before you say yes to anything, run the numbers, map out the repayment, and be honest with yourself about whether the ROI is really worth it right now, today. It doesn't mean you're saying no forever, but you might need to say no right now. And those Shopify Capital loans, they're kind of tricky. Yes, they come with a fixed fee, and there's something really comforting about knowing exactly what that loan is going to cost you up front. I get it. My husband and I, we pay a higher premium on our health insurance just so we have no deductible because we don't like financial surprises. But here's the catch. You have no way to reduce the cost of that Shopify Capital loan by paying the loan off early. And depending on how quickly you repay it, which happens automatically, by the way, through daily withdrawals, your APR could end up being just as high as a credit card. So when does it make sense? If you're investing in something long-term, like developing a new product line or buying equipment that's going to take the full loan term to pay off, maybe it's worth it. But if you're just trying to float some cash flow or cover short-term expenses, you might be better off looking at other options first, like a credit card with a 0% introductory rate, or seeing if your existing cards offer split pay or fixed payment plans for large purchases. I actually do this a lot, like when my cat needed a $5,000 emergency surgery, or when we bought an outdoor dining table that I really wanted. It was on sale. We didn't have the cash for it. In both cases, I was able to break the payments up over a few months without any extra cost, but sometimes your credit card will just charge you a very small, tiny fee, but it's still way less than if you were to pay the interest. And I do this in the business too. So Circle, my course and membership platform, I pay my subscription annually because they give me a discount. But then I split the charge on my credit card over 12 months. And again, I was able to do that for 0 fee. But even if they charged me, it would probably still be less than what Circle would charge me. So I got the best of both worlds, upfront savings and a manageable monthly payment. If you're going to use debt, make sure you have a plan before you swipe. Just because debt can help your business grow doesn't mean it always will. Before you take on any debt, especially the kind that costs you interest or chips away at your cash flow, you need to have a clear plan for what is the money being used for, how will it help you increase revenue or reduce expenses, when and how will you pay it back. Debt without a plan is just a very expensive Band-Aid. So if you're thinking about putting something on a credit card or taking out a loan, the key question is, does this bring in more money than it costs, and how soon? If you're vague about how you're going to pay it off, you're better off waiting. But if you have a solid plan and you know that it financially makes sense, then it can be a smart move. Just don't use debt to fix problems you haven't diagnosed yet. And then let's talk about debt for inventory. This is one of the most common and often justifiable reasons to use debt in e-commerce. If you're stocking up on bestsellers you know are going to move and you've got the data to back that up, then leveraging a credit card, a short-term loan, or even Shopify Capital potentially might make sense, especially if not having the inventory means you're missing out on revenue, or if it means that you can buy a larger quantity to get a lower per unit price, ultimately increasing your profit. Like, those are all good reasons to do it. But you got to be honest about how fast this thing is going to sell. What's your margin? How long is it going to take you to make that money back? If it's going to sit on your shelf for 6 months, I don't know. Is it the right move? It depends. If you were able to save a ton of money because you're able to buy more and get that lower per unit price, maybe. But you really want to make sure that you're able to pay back the loan before any interest kicks in. You don't want to buy more to get a lower price only to then spend more because you had to pay interest. And then you're like back at the same margin you had before. You know what I mean? So you just got to do the math on this stuff. All of this to say, it's not about never using debt. It's just about using it as a tool, not a crutch. And here's the deal. Running a business is hard. Doing it under the weight of debt, unpredictable revenue, and financial stress make it even harder. You might not always get it right, and that's okay. But I do want you to know that it's possible to fix things when you get a little off track, and if I can help prevent those mistakes in the first place, well, then I obviously want to help you with that too. If you are in debt in your business right now, just know that you are not alone, you are not a failure, and you can absolutely turn this around. If you're ready to take control of your money, your marketing, and your momentum, come join me inside the Lounge membership. It's where we make data-driven decisions, create repeatable marketing systems, and build businesses that actually support the life we want, not the other way around. Plus, it's the easiest way to get my brain on your business. Head to ecommercebadassery.com/membership to learn more. And that, my friends, is a wrap on this week's episode. If you've been ignoring your bank account, your debt, your credit cards, whatever, this is your sign to just go take a peek and make sure you're on track with things. Just because you ignore it doesn't mean it's not happening. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you on the flip side. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you want to learn more about growing your e-commerce business, get started with my free resource library at eCommercebadassery.com/free stuff and get an invite to the Lounge, my e-commerce marketing membership. When you're ready for one-on-one support, apply to work with me at eCommercebadassery.com/apply. Before you go, would you do me a quick favor? Leave a rating and review and tap that follow button. This pushes me up the chart so I can support more scrappy e-commerce entrepreneurs just like you. I'm on a mission to reach as many as I can, and I could really use your help. Thanks so much in advance. Until next time, e-commerce friend, stay badass.